Green Lantern Corps number 6 is written by Morgan Hampton and Jeremy Adams, with art by Amanka Nalapan, colors by Arif Prianto, and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Keep Your Head Up. Everyone on Oa is hard at work building new central batteries to regulate the energy of all the other cores, because hopefully that'll finally stabilize the emotional spectrum. Sinestro is highly critical of the designs John Stewart came up with for the new batteries, which look a lot like the battery from the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. But aside from that reference, I think we can learn a few things by paying attention to what these new batteries look like. The yellow central battery, for example, has a yellow center contained within what looks like a green shell, which suggests to me that the Green Lanterns intend to maintain control over these new batteries. They're not simply giving the Sinestro Corps a new power source as a gift. Hell, what does it say that the batteries are being built on Oa? Are they gonna stay on Oa? Because all this time, I've just been assuming that the new batteries would end up on all the Lantern homeworlds, but maybe not. It's like what I was saying before with the Red Lanterns. Now that the Green Lantern Corps is in a position to exert control over all the other cores and their use of the emotional spectrum, will the Green Lanterns be willing to give power and autonomy back to the other Lantern Corps? But that discussion can wait, because there's still a lot of work to do. All of the new central batteries are being built at the same time, and Kelly Quintella is racking her brain trying to get them all up and running as quickly as possible. Ellie Rose Stewart is worried about her. They now know for a fact that there's something buried deep within Kelly's mind that shouldn't be there, possibly relating to her time as a prisoner of Tharos' corrupt United Planets. And Ellie Rose wants Kelly to take a break so they can figure it out. But Kelly isn't having it. The stakes are too high and time is too short. If they can finish building all of these batteries before the bad guys finish building their one battery, then the day will be saved and the emotional spectrum should return to normal. But if Starbreaker and Sorrow finish their one central battery first, the whole emotional spectrum will explode or something, and the universe will suffer. So time is a factor, and Jessica Cruz knows that better than anyone. Jessica has been in charge of the Green Lantern Corps for a little while now, and the pressure is really starting to get to her. It doesn't help that they're running out of resources as fast as they're running out of time. They've got several central batteries that are partially complete, but they don't have enough material to finish them. And actually, the green central battery looks like it's missing its handle. So I wonder if they cannibalize their own central battery for non-essential parts. Jessica's already sent teams of lanterns to the planets Yasmalt and Zamaron to see if anything useful can be salvaged from the remains of their old central batteries. And now she needs someone to do the same with the ruins of the yellow battery on New Coragar. Sinestro is the obvious choice, and he has no objections since New Coragar is his home, and he hasn't been back since the whole mess with the fractured spectrum started. On his way, Sinestro runs into Vizaru, the Tamaranian Green Lantern who was able to overcome her fears thanks to Sinestro's guidance. She wants to go with him on this mission, and Sinestro is more than willing to step into the role of a teacher. But when they arrive, they find something Sinestro never thought possible. The last time Sinestro was on New Coragar, the planet was devastated, but now everything seems perfectly fine. Someone even used the remains of the yellow central battery to build some sort of generator that's powering the planet. And that someone is Sinson and Lor Zod. It's the Super Sons! Yay! Apparently, since the last time we saw them, these two children have completely rebuilt Coragarian society. The generator provides power for their cities, the moisture tank they've built already has enough clean water to sustain the population for the next century. Life on New Coragar is pretty good, and Sinestro is actually impressed with everything they've accomplished. Too bad he has to wreck it. For Sinestro, it's a simple calculation. Saving the universe takes priority over saving a single planet, even if that planet is New Coragar. But the kids are not having it. They knock Sinestro into next week in what's probably the best looking piece of art in this whole issue. Sinson sees his father's pragmatism as just another instance of Sinestro's willingness to abandon someone he's supposed to care about, just like how Sinson was left to fend for himself as a nameless street orphan on some random planet. The two start to fight, and Sinestro makes a construct sandworm from Dune, and it took me right out of the story. There's absolutely no reason for Sinestro to make a pop culture reference from a planet he knows very little about. This is not something Sinestro would do, this is something Kyle or Joe would do. A while ago, Sinson manifested rage powers from the emotional spectrum, and has managed to avoid exploding, which suggests a high level of willpower keeping it in check. But that rage power is perfect to vent Sinson's frustration with Sinestro, knocking him out of the sky, forcing him to stand on the ground among the people of New Coragar, the people whose lives he would ruin by completing his mission. After looking the people of New Coragar in the eyes, Sinestro decides that he can't take their power away from them. But that's okay, because Sinson just randomly happens to know that there's a nearby spaceship used to transport slaves that just happens to be made of nth metal. Not only is that insanely convenient, it also means that there's no consequences at all to anything that happened here. So that was a huge waste of time, but at least Sinson has finally earned the respect of his father. Meanwhile, back on Oa, Jo tries having a heart-to-heart of her own with Jessica, who's been burning the candle at both ends since the moment she took the job of Corps Captain. Jo makes an interesting observation. She thinks that the way Jessica's been approaching this job has actually started undoing some of the progress she's made in dealing with her anxiety. Jessica used to be a shut-in, holed up in her apartment to avoid feeling exposed and vulnerable. Now here she is, spending all of her time secluded in her office, building a shell of responsibility to insulate her from the outside. Jo convinces her to come along on a mission that'll help strengthen the Corps before the time comes to confront Starbreaker, and Jess reluctantly agrees. Moments like this make me sad that we never got to see Jo's introduction to most of the other Green Lanterns from Earth. Dark Crisis came along and we just sort of jumped ahead to her already being one of the group. Which is a shame, because I always thought there would be some interesting friction between Jo and Jessica, just based on their personality types, and this scene gestures towards that being true. I think what we really actually need is to see some of these characters take a day off and just hang out together. Jo, Jess, and Kyle are all huge nerds, and I'm dying to see what they would do and talk about if they had a free day to spend on Earth and not even think about the Corps. Jo takes Jess to see Mogo, whose entire surface is erupting into a volcanic hellscape. They both imply that Mogo's been missing until now, which doesn't make a lot of sense. The last time we saw Mogo, he was floating unconscious right next to Oa, so I don't know how they could have possibly lost him. Mogo has been through a lot. First, Tharos forced Mogo to connect with the rage of the emotional spectrum. Then Mogo slammed into the planet Thanagar so hard that it exploded. Then Sinestro slammed into Mogo so hard that Mogo lost consciousness. Now Mogo is trying to heal, and it is a violent and frightening process that seems especially hostile to outsiders. Not only is Mogo's surface totally inhospitable, anyone who gets too close is attacked by vicious green constructs. Mogo is doing everything he can to shut out other people, retreating into himself while he attempts to recover in isolation. This is why Jo brought Jessica. Jo makes a big anime robot to fight off Mogo's construct horde, while Jess takes the opposite approach. She drops all her defenses in an attempt to meet Mogo halfway. She doesn't want to appear as a threat, and she can't hope to convince him to open up to her if she's staying closed off from him. She tells him that she understands the impulse to retreat to where it feels safe, because that's easier than trusting other people when you're more scared than you've ever been. But that kind of avoidance is the difference between living your life and just existing. You have to rejoin the world sometime, and nothing truly good and healthy can happen until you do. Jessica's words get through to Mogo, and though he doesn't say a single word, he doesn't need to. The aggressively defensive constructs vanish, the lava recedes, and it begins to rain, like tears washing over the face of someone who's finally ready to take their next step forward. And just like that, Jo helped two very important Green Lanterns get their acts together, just in time for the big confrontation with Starbreaker. So that's Green Lantern Corps number 6. Now I want to hear your thoughts. Do you like the way Jo got Jessica and Mogo to help each other? Are you happy to see the Sinister Sons again? Are you excited for the big crossover that starts next issue? Tell me all about it in the comment section down below, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, and follow me on Blue Sky for more of my thoughts on comics in general. I'll be back with another video before you know it, but until then, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan, we'll talk again soon.